we are all really busy working as parents. I mean, we think about our kids all the time. They dominate our
Yep.
thoughts. Many of us think, man, what more could I do? I like spend so much time and energy on my kids.
Josh, I would love for you to kind of expand on that idea a little bit of parents feeling inadequate, like they're not able to do this big parenting task.
Yeah, I think behind that, as a pastor, I'd often get called from parents and say, "Hey, my child somebody needs to talk to him about dating or sex or this moral issue. Would you do it?" And I'd be like, "Well, I'm honored that you would ask, but I really want to help you do that."
Yeah.
And God chose each of us as the parent for our children. And, when we think about that, that's really humbling.
Yeah.
He gave us it's a big task, but it's an honoring task. And that tells me many things. One is that he thinks we can do it
Yeah.
in that meaning, when we put our trust in the Lord and rely on him, he doesn't give us anything that we can't handle. And when we rely upon him, our strength is in the Lord, and our weakness is made strong in his strength. But I will say, we are all really busy working as parents. I mean, we think about our kids all the time. They dominate our
Yep.
thoughts. Many of us think, man, what more could I do? I like spend so much time and energy on my kids. But really, the focus here isn't on what we're doing with our children. The focus is, let us think about the actual role of parenting, and not on the task, but on the person of the parent.
Mm-hmm.
And each of us have a lot of areas of growth and areas where we can, that we can continue to become a parent that is growing in the Lord and continuing to mature in Him. And so this really as we think about what area that we want to focus on with our kids in the next season that they're at, we really then could say, okay, I'm going to really drill down into that one or two things and learn what I need to, so that I can pass that on to my children. So whatever that subject matter is, we can just stay a simple step ahead of them, and that becomes much more manageable than thinking about some really big nebulous role of this huge task of parenting, which it is big, but when we start breaking it down into bite-sized pieces and specific subject matters, it becomes much more manageable.
Yeah. I like that you talk about breaking it down into bite-sized pieces, because one of the things, now I would like to know if you see this as well. You're talking about other parents wanting to come to you and say, hey, can you help me, basically raise my kids, which as a pastor, the job of the church, I think when it comes to parenting, is to come alongside of parents, right? And the church should be discipling the parents, who then disciple the children. Yep. That's
Praise
really
the
the role of the
Yep.
church. And of course, the church is discipling the kids in the process, as well as they're teaching them the word of God. But they shouldn't take over that responsibility for the parents. And I have often thought about it seems that parents, we want things so easy today. And I think it's part of our culture. It's part of our society and where we are, even with, our smartphones, and everything is so quick. We're looking at Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all the things, and everything. We just want to scroll through it so quickly, right? We want instant. We want fast. We want our instant pots. We want everything to be instant, and not just instant, but we want it to be easy. And I know I want parenting to be easy. I don't want to have to always put in the hard work of parenting. But one of the things that I really appreciate about this book is that you really kind of pinpoint that, in that it's not easy to be a parent. It's not easy to homeschool. It's not easy to be a good wife or a good mom. It all takes intentionality. It all takes prayer. It all takes forethought. It all takes planning. And if we don't do any of those things, yep, you might get by and your kids are going to be well fed. Well, maybe. They're going to be clothed. They're going to have shelter. They're going to have their basic needs met. But if we're not intentional and we don't plan and we don't actually put the hard work into parenting them and educating them and training them up in righteousness, I think that we leave them somewhat stranded as we push them out into the world of adulthood. And I think that's what happens a lot of times. I know, my parents were amazing. But when I came into my adult life, I felt very lost in a lot of ways, and I had to figure it out. And you know what I did? And I don't say, my parents didn't do a good job or anything like that. But I wish that there were things I didn't have to figure out. I wish that I had been trained up in a lot of these ways. And as I'm looking at this, kind of sample list of what you have on how to raise up our kids and these goals that we have for them, I think, man, I wish I had had this growing up. Not only do I wish I'd had this growing up, but I wish that I had had this when my 16-year-old was born.